First up for the GINYU FORCE, we have Guldo. And starting off with this little green man's aura, it is just the base aura. So that one is going to get a 3. As for his grab, he has this really nice little paralysis beam grab, using his psychic powers. And I like it. The effects on it are neat, even though he really does just pick them up and then throw them. I'm still willing to give it a 4 because it looks cool. Moving on to his skills, he has paralysis, which does what the name says. This would probably also be a good time to note that his fully charged ki blasts also paralyze. And then he has SP Fighting Pose 4, which looks like this from the front. And this is an Insta-Spark move. All of the GINYU FORCE have one of these fighting poses, and all of them put them into sparking mode. Not a bad skill lineup between Paralysis and an Insta-Spark. I'm gonna give it a 4. And then for his blasts, he has the Psychic Rock Throw, where he throws a giant rock at the opponent, as well as a full power energy blast volley. Yeah, this is kind of lame. He literally throws a rock and has a volley. I get the rock throw trying to hit the psychic angle, but it's really nothing special. However, moving on to the Guldo special, his ult is pretty cool actually. So he fires off this weird particle effect thing, and when it makes contact with the opponent, it triggers the cutscene, which is pretty cool. It is just that scene from when Gohan and Krillin are suspended in Guldo's time freeze. And it finishes off with a pretty cool implied violence, turning the opponent into a silhouette when they get pierced by this giant spear. Overall, very middle of the road blast lineup. I'm gonna give it a 3. As for his overall aura, Guldo really didn't ever have a chance to shine. He came in, had this big new special power in the time freezing, but then he was still just executed almost immediately. His design is very weird, mostly just to bolster this psychic energy aspect of him, but all in all, he pretty much just shows up, is weird, and then dies. So, I'm gonna give his aura a 2. Next up on the Force, we have Recoome. And starting off with his aura, he has a nice pink aura, very similar to the Majin's, and his charge up animation is just so silly.
3, 2, 1, let's jam.
I'm gonna give it a 4. And then for his grab, he has this really fun, like, wrestling grab, where he just grabs the opponent and slams them into the ground. Again, a very fun, unique grab. I'm gonna give it a 4. And then moving on to his skills, he has False Courage, which gives him some armor, as well as SP Fighting Pose 1. And this is that pose from the front. Again, not a bad skill lineup. Having a little bit of armor, having an Insta-Spark move, makes sense for the character. I think I would rather take Guldo's Paralysis, though, so I am gonna give this a 3. And then moving on to his blasts, he has Recoome Eraser Gun, which is a beam, but a mouth beam. And then Recoome Grenade Bomber, which is a volley. I mean, it's about as straightforward as you can get. And the ultimate doesn't make it any better, with Recoome Fighting Bomber, which is an explosive wave. This is quite literally the most boring and standard blast lineup you can get in this game, with a beam, a volley, and an explosive wave. They might all be pink, which makes them a little bit unique, but it is not going to save this score from getting anything higher than a 3. And then moving on to his aura. He's just a big dummy, and that's charming. I like a big, goofy brute. And to be fair, he only gets defeated when Goku shows up. And to be even fairer, I know I complained about his moveset, but I don't really know what else you would give him, because these are all moves that he used. So I think this game portrays the character very well. I just think the character himself is kind of boring. But he's gonna get 1 more point than Guldo at a 3. Next up, we have the Blue Blur Burter, the fastest in the universe. And he has a really nice blue aura. Again, another very fun charging animation too. Though nothing special beyond that, so I'm just gonna give it a 4. Moving on to his grab, this is great. Perfectly encapsulates the speed of Burter, and looks very good. I'm gonna give this grab a 5. And then moving on to his skills, he has the After Image, which totally makes sense. Could have swapped this out for After Image Strike or Wild Sense, but I'll take it. And then he has SP Fighting Pose 2, which looks like this from the front. Once again, not a bad skill lineup. I'm learning through this review that I just really like Insta-Spark moves, and I think I'm gonna give this one a 4 as well. Then moving on to his blasts, he has Full Power Energy Ball, which is a nice looking blue ball of energy. And then he has the Space Mach Attack, I don't know what it is about this rush, but it really doesn't convey that speed quite as well. First couple of actions do, but then those kicks at the end are really just ugh. And then moving on to his ult, we have the purple comet attack, where Jeice comes in, they team up, and they just absolutely go to town on the enemy. This is a really fun ultimate to watch, and the payoff at the end with that big purple energy ball just colliding into the enemy is really, really nice looking. It's a bummer that we have to see it twice. This really isn't a bad blast lineup at all, though. I think I'm gonna give it a 4. And then for Burter's overall aura, he really does have this thing about being fastest in the universe, when like, yeah man, there are people that are stronger than you, and by that metric, there are people that are faster than you. So it's really hard to get behind Burter's whole fastest in the universe thing, but he is a big, tall, silly blue guy, and that gives him some points. So I'm gonna give his aura a 3. Next up, we have Jeice, who has a really nice looking red aura. And once again, this aura is going to get a 4. And then moving on to his grab. And here we have this stock grab again. That's gonna get a 2. As for his skills, he has the explosive wave, which is nice. Still personally would rather take any of the previous ones over an explosive wave, but it's still solid. And then he has SP fighting pose 3. Again, very standard skill lineup. I think this one's a little bit more middle of the road with the explosive wave, at least in my opinion, so I'm gonna give it a 3. Then moving on to his blasts. Oh boy, strap in. First up, he has a full power energy wave, which is a beam. And then he has Crusher Ball, which is a ball. The full power energy wave tends to deal more damage than the Crusher Ball too, so not only does he have 2 attacks that are very similar, but one is just objectively better than the other. And while keeping on the trend of Jeice having underwhelming moves, we have the purple comet attack. The exact same move that Burter has. The only real difference is that they change spots in their poses. This is a really big disappointment, especially because in BT3, they had 2 different moves. They were both technically purple comet attack, but they were distinct nonetheless. I'm just gonna play both of them for you now. I mean, obviously the effects and stuff are better, but still, you see my point. Honestly, I'm really disappointed in Jeice's blast lineup. I'm gonna give it a 1. As for Jeice's aura, I like him. He was always one of my favorite GINYU FORCE members. I liked that he was red, I liked his accent. I just think this game sort of flubbed him on his moveset, and that's a real shame. I'm gonna give his aura a 3. And last up on the force, we have the Captain. And starting with his aura, look, I'm going to be completely honest. I'm biased. Purple is my favorite color. His aura is going to get a 5. But we're going to even out that score right now because he has the stock grab, which is going to get a 2. And then for his skills, he has SP fighting pose 5, as well as dangerous shock, which gives him a bunch of buffs, but also does damage to himself. This move is supposed to play in tandem with his ultimate attack. I actually really like this skill lineup. I also really like that he has a unique skill that is intended to work with one of his other moves in his kit. Honestly, I think I'm gonna give this skill lineup a 5. And then for his blast, he has the full power energy wave, as well as Galaxy Dynamite. And why are we doing this? Why are we doing this again? Why does he have 2 of the same move? Just like Jeice, he has a beam and a ball. And once again, one is just better than the other one. Though luckily for the Cap, he has a very unique ultimate in his iconic body change. I really like the animation here. It reminds me of trading Pokemon in Pokemon, but you swap bodies with your opponent. And this is much better than they did it in previous games. In BT3, it would actually randomly select a fighter from a group of about 5 or 6, and Ginyu would just turn into them. Now, finally, in this game, you actually swap bodies. However, when you do swap bodies, all you get is their health. You are unable to use any of their skills or blasts. But it is still a super interesting mechanic, though it is not going to bump this moveset higher than a 3. As for Ginyu's overall aura, I mean, he's the leader of the outfit. Again, I feel like his moveset was a little bit cheaped out on, and at the same time, this is still one of the best represented versions of Captain Ginyu that we've had in one of these games. It's a tough call, but I think I'm going to give his aura a 4. And that is going to be it for this moveset review. If you enjoyed, please consider leaving a like and subscribing, and let me know down in the comments if you agree with my rankings or not. I also make a ton of other content here on this channel, so consider going and checking out some of my other stuff. But with that, this has been a moveset review. I have been GINYU FORCE. Thank you everybody so much for watching, and of course, as always, see you next time.